Good evening, I'm David Brown, and this is the Northern Sun Experience. The conference basketball season is in full swing, and on the women's side, no team has stood out more than Northern State. The Wolves came into this past weekend with a 13-1 record, having allowed just one opponent to score more than 60 points. They traveled north to take on Minot State Friday evening. First half, Wolves work it down low to Rachel Krogman for the easy lay-in, and Northern's out in front. Back come the Beavers. They also work it down low as Alex Haley drives the baseline. She had 14 for Minot State, but Northern's attack would be too much. Nice pass from Krogman to Sadie Stotesbury for 2. She led the Wolves with 19, and Northern State tops Minot State 66-47. They'd also defeat UMary on Saturday to sweep the weekend and move to 15-1. Hot on the trails of Northern State is Wayne State. They hosted Minnesota State on Friday. Close game throughout the first half, but in the second, this Ashley Olsen 3 brings the Mavericks to within 36-35. But Wayne State would take over from there, mainly Ashton Yassi. Off the Paige Ballinger steal, she gets the easy layup in transition to push the lead to 5. Then a little bit later, the senior from Dallas Center, Iowa, pulls up for 3. She had a game-high 23, and Wayne State's defense holds in the second half, topping Minnesota State 62-46. On the men's side, Minnesota State Moorhead was at UMary Friday. First half, Isaac Sevely works the pick and roll, gets the hoop plus the foul. Dragons up 11 at the break. In the second half, it's Aaron Lean from the top of the key for 3. He led the Dragons with 20, and they top UMary 81-52. But the biggest men's game was on Saturday in Sioux Falls. Minnesota State at Augustana. Second half, Mavs with the steal. Zach Monahan gets hit, but TJ Lake recovers for the 3. Minnesota State up 6. The Mavs are up 7 now, but Augie's fighting back. Casey Schilling splashes in the 3 from straight away. We would head to overtime where the Vikings would eventually pull away. Dan Jansen works the pick and roll inside. He had 29, and the Vikings avenged their only loss this season with a 98-89 victory in overtime. When we come back, former Augustana point guard Jordan Dalton will break things down on the women's side of basketball.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by CU Mortgage Direct LLC, Sanford Health, and Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience, joined by former Augustana point guard Jordan Dalton, our basketball analyst, breaking down all the big storylines in the NSIC every week. And Jordan, we're going to start with the women this week. Northern State just continues to dominate. Another weekend sweep. Rachel Krogman had her third straight double-double. The defense has only allowed one opponent all season long to score more than 60 points. So are the Wolves the most complete team in the NSIC?
Well, they're definitely the best team. And you speak about Rachel Krogman, who I give her brother Eric Krogman a hard time. She's easily the best Krogman who's ever stepped foot in the NSIC. But she's just doing phenomenal. She's averaging 15 points, almost 11 rebounds per game. And she leads the team in assists. And you very rarely find a power forward who leads their team in assists. And what that allows them to do, it allows the Northern State to play through her at the free throw line area, at that high post area, and she's able to knock down a 15-foot jump shot. She's able to finish inside in the post, but she's also able to distribute and get other people involved. And I know you mentioned is Northern the most complete or most well-balanced team. I think they're the most disciplined team. Like you said, only giving up 49 points per game, holding opponents to under 32% from the field, and only allowing 8 offensive rebounds per game. And so they really hunker in on the defensive end and make it extremely difficult for you to score. They play at that slow, methodical pace, and they just frustrate teams is what they do more than anything.
Yeah, Rachel Kirkwood's got to be incredibly frustrating. Preseason player of the year, as you said, a power forward who leads her team in assists, that's pretty good.
Absolutely.
Held Minot to 30% shooting and Mary to only 35% shooting. Well, let's move on a little bit to Wayne State. Speaking of defense, they held Minnesota State to just 46 points on Friday. That is Minnesota State's worst offensive output in 2 years. Now, Wayne State's 13-3. They're not under the radar, but are they the biggest challenge to Northern State?
I think they're definitely making making a case for why they were ranked so high in preseason. And if you look at them, like you said, holding Mankato to 46 points, that's typically not their MO. They're typically a very high-scoring team, averaging 77 points a game. But that just shows the commitment that they have to one another, that they understand they're getting into the heart and soul of the conference season, and they do need to step up the defensive end. I like Wayne State quite a bit, mainly because, once again, they put a lot of pressure on the defense of every team they play with their ability to score and shoot the basketball from the outside. When you say, are they the biggest threat for Northern, I wouldn't discount Coach Traphagen's USF team. They've played great this year. They're 7-3 in conference, and they really shoot the ball well from the outside, making almost 8 3-pointers a game. And every game they come out, their thing is they want to get up big in the early part of the game. They've outscored opponents in conference season by 83 points in the first half. And so they really look to get out and get large leads earlier and continue to put that pressure on their opponents.
So USF, you think, is another team that's maybe flying a little bit low right now that could pose a threat down the line?
Absolutely. Like I said, I love Coach Traphagen and what they're doing with their team. They have great guard play. And obviously I'm a little biased. Any team with as phenomenal guard play as they have and can shoot the ball from the outside like they can is going to be tough to defend and to play against at any point in time during the tournament. He's, like I said, that three-pointer is a great equalizer in any basketball game you're going to play.
Yeah, you're not that biased. You went to Augie and you're praising Sioux Falls, so of course you're not biased. Well, speaking of Sioux Falls, they didn't have the greatest weekend. They did lose to Winona State, who's another team that's sort of flying a little bit low right now. They bounced back. They beat Sioux Falls by 17 in Winona after they lost by 17 to Sioux Falls at USF earlier in the season. They're 11-3, Winona State that is. Do they have what it takes to also challenge teams at the top like USF?
I think they're still looking for to put a big string of wins together. Right now, they've only beat 2 teams in the conference with above a 500 conference record. And so they're winning the games they're supposed to, but at the same time, they're going to have to make a leap, especially on the road. They're only 2-3 on the road this year in conference games, so they're going to have to prove that they can go on the road and get 2 wins. And that's tough. I know you said USF dropped one, obviously, Winona State. You talk about turning a 4-hour bus trip into a 7.5-hour bus trip because of weather. And so you got a lot of obstacles to battle against. And it's tough anytime you go on NSIC, anytime you go on the road, those Friday, Saturday games, it's tough to get 2 wins on the road no matter what team you are or who you're playing against.
Winona State has some good leadership with Tara Roloffs and Connor Nagel. Well, you talk about teams making the leap. Concordia-St. Paul, preseason favorite by most estimates, just 8-7 overall and 4-5 in the conference. What do they need to do to turn things around?
In my opinion, they're not winning the toughness stats right now. Right now, they're giving up 68 points a game. They're allowing teams to get 12 offensive rebounds and only forcing 6 steals per game. So when you hear things like that, it makes me think that any team running their offense against Concordia right now is very comfortable. They're able to get the shots they want. They're able to get the looks they want. And you're not going to win any games if you're allowing the other team to be that comfortable on the offensive end. And so in order for them to turn around and make a really big push towards the end of the conference season, they're going to have to get stops consistently and turn turnovers into easy buckets on the offensive end.
It seems that Annika Whiting is doing her part. Again, one of the preseason players of the year, has consistently been a double-double machine. Do the other players around her need to step up?
Once again, I don't think it's necessarily the offensive end that's where they're struggling. I think their MO is defense, tough nose, gritty, blue collar, that type of MO. But that's not what they're doing right now. Like you said, Annika Whiting, she's going to get hers. She's going to get a double-double. Their offense will come, but you can't depend on your offense when you're looking to get into conference tournament time. The teams who go deep into the tournament are the teams who defend, rebound, and don't turn the basketball over. And so I feel like those are the 3 areas they really have to focus on.
Well, they'll probably have to focus on those this upcoming weekend. Now that we've gotten past the last week's storylines, what's the matchup you're looking forward to on the women's side this weekend?
Extremely excited to see University of Sioux Falls and Northern State play. It's going to be a team of 2 very different styles. USF likes to get it up and down the court. They like to shoot a bunch of 3-pointers. They like the games to be in the 60s and 70s, even in the 80s if they were able to do it. And Northern State, we just talked about them. No team has scored more than 60 points on them this year. And so in order for USF to pull the upset, they're going to have to control the tempo of the game and really speed up the pace.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting contrasting styles both on offense and defense. You know, Northern State just wants to keep it low. Whoever dictates the pace, it seems to me, will win that game.
And that's exactly what I wrote down. Whoever controls the tempo of that game will come out victorious. And we talked about it's tough to go on the road and get 2 wins. So we'll see how Northern State battles with the Friday, Saturday games this weekend.
All right, thanks a lot, Jordan. Well, when we come back, Jordan will break down things on the men's side, including a big win for his alma mater over Minnesota State. We'll be right back.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by CU Mortgage Direct, LLC, Sanford Health, and Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience, joined once again by Mr. Jordan Dalton, former Augustana point guard, and a big win for your alma mater this weekend. Augustana gets an overtime victory at home against Minnesota State. They avenged their only loss this season. How was Augie able to pull away in overtime?
Well, their front court came to play. You got two absolute beasts in Casey Schilling and Dan Jansen. You throw in Al Richter there. Those three combined for 74 points and 22 rebounds on Saturday night. And it was just a great team win. The front court was playing well. They had to battle through some adversity. Monahan and Asa Marai also played great. And Augie just was able to make enough plays toward the end of the game to really pull out the win. If you look at the stats, they did a great job pounding the ball in the paint, not only with post-ups, but with penetration as well. They had 56 points in the paint and went 28 for 33 from the free throw line. So they were the aggressors the entire game and just kept that consistent pressure on Mankato the entire time. And actually, if you talk to Coach Billiter, you heard him say that Zach Houston was a big help for them down low on the inside. He was able to provide a defensive presence that they haven't had consistently throughout the year. And so he clogged up the paint. Mankato loves to run the pick and roll, and Houston was able to not only kind of show a little bit on the ball screens and slow up Monahan, but was able to get back and recover and really just make it difficult for anybody coming in the paint.
You mentioned the big three of Jansen, Schilling, and Richter. They had more than 75% of the offense. But as you said, guys like Houston, they only played 7 guys that game, so they need sort of those role players to step up.
And you know when you're talking about Dan Jansen and Casey Schilling, 2 All-American candidates, you know what you're going to get. They're going to bring it. Casey Schilling is one of the best competitors I've ever seen play. He gets the most out of his potential, and he's going to play hard every single second he's out there. But it's the role players that are really stepping up. You talk about redshirt freshman point guard Jordan Spencer. He had 10 assists that game. You know, he's been a great surprise and a great spark off the bench for Augie and Coach Billiter. And they've needed that type of playmaker to really get easy shots. Because otherwise it was just throwing it in a Dan or relying on offensive rebounds. Now they have somebody who can penetrate, who can pitch for threes, who can drop it down low to the bigs. They've got a guy who can really make some plays and make life a lot easier for the other 4 guys on the court.
Vikings with a season-long winning streak of 8 games right now. Now, on the flip side of that, Minnesota State obviously with the loss to Augie. And then on Friday, they only beat Wayne State by 6 points. Not to knock Wayne State, but they're 0-10 in the conference. It seems like a game that Minnesota State probably should have handled a little easier. Does Minnesota State have some issues right now? Is there a panic setting in, or do they just need to sort of relax and sort of get going?
I think it's way too early to push the panic button. We talked about it. It's tough to go on the road Friday, Saturday games and get a sweep anywhere in the NSIC. And so I thought they had a great game on Saturday night, just fell a little short. What they have to do is find a consistent third scorer to go with Asa Marai and Zach Monahan. Those guys are playing at an All-American level as well, but they haven't found anyone consistently to be that third scorer. On Saturday night, TJ Lake did a great job of posting up in the corner, hitting 5 3-pointers and really stretching the floor out. And they're going to need some more consistency on that end.
Yeah, and you mentioned they need a consistent third scorer. They have guys who can do it. They have guys like Connor Miller, Zach Romeshko, and as you said, TJ Lake. But do they need someone? It can't just be any random guy. Does it have to be someone more stable?
I just think it has to be somebody. It doesn't have to be one specific person every single game. They just need somebody to help Monahan and Marai out on a consistent basis. Now, what they do have playing in their favor, they only played 3 games against teams who are above 500 in the conference the rest of the way. And so they have a very favorable schedule moving forward. So I would look for them to run the table and get a little momentum going into the NSIC tournament.
Yeah, panic a bit of hyperbole, but not exactly the best weekend for the Mavericks. Well, a team that still continues to roll, again, maybe a little under the radar, even though they're at the top of the conference. That's Minnesota State Moorhead. Swept UMary, swept Minot State this weekend, 18-1 overall. Why did the Dragons work so well together?
They just have great chemistry. They're assisting on almost 60% of their made baskets. And that's phenomenal. So that lets you know, as a defense, you can't key in on 1 or 2 people because they're going to move the basketball. They have great motion. They get penetration in the paint with Jordan Rear. And they put up almost 80 points a game. And that's really, really tough for any defense to defend against all night long when you know you have multiple scoring options out there that you're going to have to guard against. And not only that, it puts pressure on your offensive end too, because you're going to have to consistently score 70 to 80 points to keep up with Moorhead.
Yeah, there have been a couple times where the Dragons have hit triple digits like with ease, and in a 40-minute game, that's pretty difficult.
It's very tough to do, and they're so tough from the outside too. Once again, making 11 3-pointers a game, and that is very, very difficult because what it does is it stretches the floor. You know you have to guard the three-point line anytime you're playing against the Dragons, and now your bigs have an opportunity to go one-on-one in the post because nobody wants to leave three-point shooters. So they have a great inside-out dynamic, and just once again put a lot of pressure on any team they play against. It's going to be very, very difficult to knock them out of the tournament.
The Dragons have won 6 in a row. Well, we talked a lot about Northern State's women, but the men are doing well too. 13-3 record, but they did lose to UMary this weekend, who's at the bottom of the North Division standings. In a tight conference race, you can't afford to lose games like that, but does Northern have what it takes to challenge the top teams like the Augies, Minnesota States, and MSU Moorheads?
I think they're still looking for their way. We talked about it. It's tough to go up to Bismarck and Minot and get 2 wins on the weekend, but they're a well-balanced team. That 4 out of the 5 starters are still scoring in double figures, and so you got a lot of balance, you got a lot of scoring options. They're going to have to buckle down on the defensive end. Right now they're giving up over 72 points a game, and so if they look to become one of those upper echelon teams in the NSIC, they're going to have to make more of a commitment on the defensive end to get consistent stops and consistent rebounds, because like I said, they got a lot of options, a lot of weapons on the offensive end, but if they don't make a commitment and get those stops, they're not going to be able to go very deep in the tournament.
Yeah, a couple close games, just a 1-point victory over Minot, only a 4-point loss to UMary. Well, looking ahead to this weekend, the matchup you're looking forward to?
Looking forward to Northern State and SMSU, Southwest Minnesota State. They played earlier in the year in Marshall, early in November, and it was a great game. Overtime win for Northern State. They were able to pull it out by 5. But Marshall was up by 11 points in the first half, and so they've contended that they can play with and beat Northern State. They just have to consistently put two halves together. And I love Coach Bigler and what he does down in Marshall. He gets the most out of his players every single night. And you know when you go into Marshall, it's going to be a dogfight no matter what's going on. And that'd be a great statement win for Northern State too, to go on the road and get a big win like that. It shows a lot about your team's character and their determination.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, man, for once again providing all you need to know about the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference men's and women's basketball. Mr. Jordan Dalton. When we come back, it's Under the Northern Sun at Concordia-St. Paul.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by CU Mortgage Direct LLC, Sanford Health, and Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience. It's time for Under the Northern Sun, where we shine the spotlight on one of our member schools. Tonight, it's Concordia University in St. Paul, Minnesota, which is providing students with both academic and economic incentives.
Concordia University is a Christian liberal arts school located in the College District of St. Paul. And for more than a century, we've led the way. In 1998, we were one of the first colleges in the nation to give every student a laptop. And in 2004, we opened the country's first Center for Hmong Studies. We were the first in the Twin Cities to offer Division II athletics, and the first in Minnesota to offer adult degree completion programs. Over the past 20 years, we've invested $30 million into building our technology infrastructure and state-of-the-art facilities. All along the way, we've made it a priority to support the success of our students, academically, spiritually, professionally, and personally. That's why at the beginning of our 120th year, we're taking another bold step. We're reducing our annual tuition by $10,000, making Concordia University St. Paul one of the most affordable private colleges in Minnesota. We believe a private education should be available to everyone without the burden of oppressive debt. This tuition reset makes a Concordia education accessible for less than $20,000 a year, and that's before any financial assistance. Through responsible stewardship and innovative planning, we've positioned ourselves to continue providing the same high-quality education our university is known for at a more affordable price. As always, Concordia University St. Paul will continue to lead the way by providing students with personal attention in a vibrant metropolitan community with access to opportunity. And now, that same experience is an even better value.
I'm Concordia University President Tom Reese. We invite you to join us as together we take a bold step into the future.
Concordia University St. Paul. Responsive, relevant, real.
When we come back, it's DB's Picks, my top 5 plays of the past week in the NSIC.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by CU Mortgage Direct LLC, Sanford Health, and Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back. It's time for the best of the best, the top 5 plays of the past week in the NSIC. At number 5, we go to Wayne, where Patrick Hurst's hands come in handy. With 1 second left in the half, he bobbles the inbounds but still gets off the buzzer beater. Check it out one more time. Nice inbounds from Tyler Nagy, but Hurst's hands-on basket is number 5. At number 4, we go to Fayette, Iowa, where Bo Pagel works both ends, the steal against Sioux Falls and hammering it home on the other end. Here it is again. Pagel takes advantage of the poor pass and flushes it home for more at number 4. For number 3, more steals and more slams. This time it's Minnesota State Moorhead's Prescott Williams doing his part against UMary. He takes off from just inside the free throw line, and while the basket was free and it's at play number 3, it led to another week at number 1 in the standings for the Dragons. At number 2, it may not be hockey, but Northern State finds a crease. Nice bounce pass from Darren Paterka to Seth Bashan for the slam. Here it is again. Paterka bounces it between 2 Minot State defenders to find his teammate. 2 great plays for number 2. But for number 1, Carson Parker beats the buzzer. With time winding down in overtime, he nails this corner 3 with 2 seconds left to give Upper Iowa the victory over SMSU. The Peacocks are flying high thanks to Parker's heroics at number 1. And once again, a thank you to all NSIC member schools for their contributions for this week's show. We'll be back next week for another Northern Sun Experience.